Welcome to Power Your Profits podcast, your friendly guide in bringing your business revenue to the next level. Listen as host Susie Carter hears inspiring stories of success from her fellow entrepreneurs and transformational leaders. Prepare to make significant change to your strategies as they unravel the secrets of building multi-million-dollar businesses and the most effective tips on finance, marketing, and sales accountability. If you want to make your first step towards explosive business growth, this is the right podcast for you. Without further ado, here is your host, Susie.
Welcome to Power Your Profit podcast. My name is Susie Carter, and I am your host of the Power Your Profit podcast. My next guest, Jason Osborn, is a leading expert on LinkedIn, showing businesses around the globe how to generate high-quality leads without being spammy and paying for ads. Originally from Texas, Jason now lives in England by the way of Republic of Ireland. When he's been living in Ireland 16 years ago, he trained as a life coach and started himself an online marketing business. He had no idea how to do it and how to market online, so he had to learn how to do it. Within 18 months, he grew an email list of over 9,000 people, plus coaching people in 13 countries. More and more people are asking Jason, how did he do what he was doing, and wanted to know the secret to his online success. As a result, 12 years ago, he transitioned his business to helping other businesses with their online marketing, focusing on LinkedIn and LinkedIn strategy. Please welcome my guest, Jason Osborn. So excited, Jason. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for being on Power Your Profit podcast. Our tribe is going to love this topic. I know I'm going to love this topic because this is one of those topics that can be pretty elusive. But before we start, I want you to share your badass list. Like, why should we pay attention to you? Why should we listen to you? What's your secret sauce? Share that with us.
Well, so I guess the first thing is I moved to, so I'm originally from Texas. I moved to Ireland 16 years ago, and I live here in the UK now. So my accents have been all over the place. But when I moved to Ireland, I've always been very entrepreneurial, and I was looking up for a business to start, and I was really intrigued with the whole online space thing. So I trained up as a life coach. Didn't have a clue what I was doing in terms of marketing myself. But in 18 months, I'd built up an email list of 9,000 people. I was coaching people in 13 countries. And this was, again, 16 years ago. So way before a lot of the stuff we have now and how you market. It was much harder back then. But that's one of the big things. And I transitioned about 4 years later into helping people because I was getting asked all the time. So that's kind of my first badass thing, I guess I would say to you.
That's pretty badass, right? And you can hear your accent a little bit, right? With the little Ireland accent. You got the little R. I love it.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird.
The accent, you don't have the accent. But funny, I can't hear the Texan accent. That could be pretty funny when you get tipsy gypsy.
Yeah, I can put it on, but I don't have too much of a Texas accent anymore.
So how did you get started when looking at, because your big foundation is LinkedIn. And so I want to talk about what we need to know, what people are doing that's the mistake. So talk about what are we doing wrong? Because I think a lot of people are doing stuff wrong.
Yeah. Do you know, it's funny, Susie, actually, most people are doing everything wrong on LinkedIn. And so we'll kind of start there, really. The reason why most people use LinkedIn very wrong, there's two main reasons. One, they still look at it as a resume website, which if you're looking for employment, hey, it is. It's still great for that, right? But they look at it as that, and so they get really confused on how to use it. The second reason is we are more used to using platforms like Facebook, Instagram. I mean, some people still use Pinterest and YouTube and all those different platforms. That's what we're used to. And so when we go onto LinkedIn, we try to use LinkedIn like we would Facebook and Instagram. And you just can't use it that way. And people get really confused by it. And so they'll go on, create a lot of posts on LinkedIn, and then go, oh yeah, I tried it, it didn't work. And they'll get very little engagement. They won't get hardly any comments or anything like that at all. And even if they do, they get stuck. They don't know where to go from there. And so that's probably the biggest mistake that people are making around that. We can dive a lot deeper into that, but just surface level. That's the biggest mistakes I see people making.
It's so simple but so powerful, and I think we do. We just transfer over. I'm doing this here. Let's do it here. And I think we do it because someone said we should do it, and we don't know what we're doing, and we don't know how to find you because that's like, where do we find the Jasons, right? What I love about this podcast is I bring all my badass friends that are amazing at what they do, right, to help us get the solutions we need when we need it. So then, what should we be doing? Let's talk about that, because I think that is like, how important is a profile? Like, what should we be doing?
Yeah, cool. So let's start with your profile. So again, most people think of LinkedIn as a resume website. And so what people put up on their profile is resume looking, which when we think about what a resume is all about us. It's all about how good we are, how long we've been in stuff, and all that kind of stuff. But the reality is, we all know this, Susie, but people lie on resumes, right? And they're boring as well. Do you know, like who wakes up on shortlisting day when you're hiring someone, go, hey, I get to look through a ton of made up stuff, like it's just not exciting, So when we're using LinkedIn in terms of lead generation, we're wanting to generate leads, we need to change our profile from being all about ourselves to being all about the clients. At the end of the day, as harsh as this may sound, no one really cares about me, right? They don't care about you. They don't care about what we do, right? They want to know how we can help them, how we benefit them. And so when you make your profile all about your client, what their problems are, what their challenges and their frustrations are, and you're able to tell a story through your profile around, I mean, you're still sharing what you do, but you're not doing it in a salesy CV brochure kind of spammy thing. You're doing it from a very prospect focused positioning, and it changes everything about your profile, because now when people come to it, it's not like, oh God, okay, great. Now I know you've worked in the industry for 15 years. I know you've made these many sales, whoop-de-doo for you. Well done. What about me? Right now, when they get to it, they read through that and they can go, wow, they understand my problems, my challenges, my frustrations. I connect with them because I feel like they get me, right? When you do that with your profile, it changes everything through that. There's a section on your profile that a lot of people don't have, called your featured section. And in your featured section, you can put like share links of like a YouTube link or a Vimeo link where you have like video testimonials. And a lot of people don't even have that sort of stuff up, much less even have their featured section up. But when they do, it's just like it's like their logo, right? Which again, no one really cares about your logo. Your logo doesn't change their life. But when they can see a third party person, saying, hey, this is what Susie's done for me. I had these problems, this challenge, and after working with Susie, this was I able to do. All of that sort of stuff, it's all prospect focused. So that's the first thing, looking at LinkedIn, because that's kind of the face of, what people see of you, is your profile, making sure it's all of, client focused, prospect focused, and not about yourself.
Right, it's that whole WIFM, right? What's in it for me? And we all know it in marketing, but we don't necessarily put it there here, which is, I'm thinking about my profile as you're talking. I'm like, yeah, no, it's all about me. I got to change that. So just juicy little nuggets that you're dropping, right? I love that it's, make the profile about the client. Right. And again, I think we're kind of emulating other dysfunction. And that's what I tell my clients is You're emulating somebody else's dysfunction. You don't know, like pricing is a big one for people. You don't know if their pricing is right or not. You're just like, oh, Jason charges this, Susie charges this, I'm going to charge this. And that has nothing to do with it. Same thing with LinkedIn. We're just mirroring whoever we think is the guru, right? Which is delicious. Okay, so what's next? So the profile, that was huge. That was diamonds. I just want to say that. Thank you. And so how do we start prospecting, right? Because now I had a LinkedIn expert, and it was really, I had a bunch of people on my appointments, but they were all selling me. I'm like, wait a minute. I want to talk to people who are interested in what I have, right? Yeah. Then I'm like, okay, that didn't work. So I hear you saying that didn't work. That didn't work. So I haven't went back there again. And I've had clients that did the same thing, and they're like, Susie, LinkedIn doesn't work. I'm like, I know it does. We just don't know how.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So let me kind of take a step or two back from this and help kind of frame this so people can understand LinkedIn. Because when I started using LinkedIn in terms of lead generation, I've been on it for a long time, like most people have, right? But when I started using it for lead generation, I actually stopped about 2 or 3 months in because I didn't get it, right? And I've been doing online marketing for 16 years, right?
Right.
So I was like, man, I don't get this. So I just stopped then I kept hearing people talking about generating leads from LinkedIn. So I was like, okay, so it became a personal challenge to me. It's like, look, I've been doing this for a long time. If other people would do it, I'm going to freaking figure out how to do it myself, you know?
Right.
So what I realized is this, when I just kind of just took away all kind of preconceived ideas and all that kind of stuff and looked at it, what I realized is this: LinkedIn actually wants you to generate leads from the platform. People don't realize this. So the thing around it is this: LinkedIn isn't technically a social media platform.
Right.
Right. When you think about Facebook and Instagram, we go on to there and we go to just look at crap, right? We just go to scroll, look what cat videos, what people ate last night, all that sort of stuff, right? It's just a social thing. See what people have gone on holiday, their vacation, all that kind of stuff. The frame of mind when people go on to Facebook and Instagram is social. They're just thinking about just cutting off their brains from their busy days and all that kind of stuff, right? On LinkedIn, it's a professional network. They're not there to socialize, to say, oh, what did you eat? All that kind of stuff, right? They're not. It's a professional network. When people go onto LinkedIn, they go on with their professional hat on, right? They go on to do something related to their role as a business owner or their position as an employee, right? They're there in the mindset to do something. Right. So what we need to do, and what a lot of people don't realize, is LinkedIn has a 3 times higher visitor to lead conversion rate than both Twitter and Facebook combined.
Wow.
Okay. Because of the frame of mind that people are on when they go onto LinkedIn. The other thing is this: LinkedIn has a tool called Sales Navigator, right? Which a lot of people have heard of and still don't know how to use very well, but it's called Sales Navigator. They've created it to help you navigate sales, right? So when we use this properly, we understand this. So LinkedIn is there for us to network. What most people do on LinkedIn is they go on, create a post, expect people to go, oh my God, that's an amazing post, I want to buy from you, right? That's not networking. I call content marketing on LinkedIn hope marketing. Right. You're hoping that it shows up in somebody's feed. You're hoping they pay attention. You hope that they stop scrolling, and you hope that they actually reach out to you. There's a lot of hope involved, and I don't like doing stuff based on hope, right? I want to be more proactive. So when you look at it from networking, LinkedIn is there like an online version of an in-person networking meeting you would go to. When you look at it from that perspective, the whole game changes. Okay. So a couple things around this. Content is good, but I say that it's good from a long-term supplemental perspective where it's more of a PR kind of branding long-term play, right? So it's good to do. It's good to get you out there because we all know this. Not everyone's going to make a decision the first time they see us or the first message they receive or anything like that. So the content is good long-term. But we want to be more proactive around this. So we want to use tools like Sales Navigator, where you can actually reach out, find your ideal prospects, and be able to engage with them in such a way where you're not just sending cold connection requests and then spamming them with a message once they accept, which is what most people do.
Right.
I'm sure you've probably experienced that yourself.
I have. I'm like, I don't know you. I'm not going to talk to you.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to be sold, right? I'm like, don't sell me.
No one wants to be sold. And when
Right.
you look at what most people are doing is they're using automation tools as well, and they're just spamming people.
Right.
So one of the cool things that a lot of people don't know that you can do with Sales Navigator, you can't do this on the free search on LinkedIn, but within Sales Navigator, you can actually filter out people that have posted on LinkedIn in the last 30 days. Right. And this is really powerful because what it does is, one, it lets you know that you are at least reaching out to people that have been active on LinkedIn the last 30 days. So you're not wasting any of, because you can only send out 100 connection requests per week now on LinkedIn. So that way we're minimizing any kind of wasted connection requests that we're sending out. But what we want to do with this is, instead of just sending out a cold connection request, because as you said, Susie, like getting a cold connection request, who are you? Why are you sending that to me? And most people are really bad at the connection message, if they even put one in, right? The worst thing you can do is send a cold connection request, no connection message with it at all. Then it's literally like, who are you? Like, why are you sending this to me? But then other times people will send things like, hey, I see you're in the same industry as me. It's like, okay, so, or the one that I hate the most is, I wanted to connect with you because I'm wanting to build my network.
Right.
Like, okay, so you've just told me the only reason you're connecting with me is because you want me to help you benefit. It's like,
Right.
why
So
are
what
you,
should we say?
So ideally what you want to do is you want to be able to find those people on Sales Navigator that have made posts, right? That have created content. And you want to engage with their content before you ever send a connection request out to them.
Yes.
Right. So again, think about how this is in terms of a face-to-face network meeting, right? If you just walked up to someone face-to-face and said, hey, great, you want to have coffee tomorrow at 2? They'd be like, oh, sorry, who are you? Like, it's just, that's what a cold connection request is. It's just like, it's quite just, wait, who are you? You're coming out of left field.
Right.
If you go up to somebody at a networking meeting, what do? It's, hi, how are you? Or, hey, I see you're doing this. Or, you might compliment them on, what they're wearing, or you might say, oh, hey, I see what you're doing. Tell me a little bit about what you do. You're taking more interest in them at a network meeting.
Yes.
Right. That's what you're doing through commenting and liking on their content before you ever send out a connection request.
Got it.
You're letting them, you're showing up, you're being noticed. Very few people have more than 2 to 3 comments on a post. So
Now, can you hire someone to do this, or there's because there's certain platforms and there's certain things that you have to do as the owner or as the lead person, or can you hire someone to do this so that you're, if you look at time as money, right, to go, what's the highest income producing activity only I can do? How does one get started when we're already bogged down with all the other online things and going, this can be, because your ideal client's there, my ideal client's there, right? So when we look at that, can we hire an agency, or does it have to be, I got to do it?
So you can definitely hire someone. Agencies, I would be wary of, because a lot of what they do, agencies, is they will do what they think is best. And from what I've seen, a lot of agencies don't actually know what they're doing, in my opinion. But you can definitely hire someone. You can hire a VA. You can have someone in your team, if you have a marketing person, do this for you. So yes, you can definitely hire someone to do this. So going in, just commenting and liking on people's posts, absolutely.
And then how do you help people deal with it? Because I know you work with clients and you support them in building that LinkedIn. So how does that work with your company?
Yeah. So what we do is we do the training, showing people what to do. So we show them everything, what to do. And then that way they can go out and either do it themselves, or they can hire someone. And so part of the leads method that I've created, the S part of that is scaling. So we do some training on how to actually find the right people and all that sort of stuff to be able to focus on, as you said, the highest income producing activities that you can do, and not having to do the day-to-day kind of just work around that.
Now, when I hear that, so I'm speaking to our entrepreneurs, right? As you go, ugh, I can't do another thing. Well, what I do is I'll go, but I'll bring Sam or someone else on my team that's going to manage it. So I'm a firm believer I need to know why I'm doing it. And then I want to train somebody else simultaneously to do it so that I'm not the one having to do it, but I can hold them accountable to what we learn together, right? And I'm building a stronger team member, right? I'm building their future, supporting them and growing to that next level. So when you hear this, I don't want to see people go, I can't take another training. I know, we got you, right? We got you. There's more ways. I want to see, how do I duplicate myself? How do I get all that juiciness out of Jason's brain so that we can implement it in our own business? So everyone, like, I have clients right now that are still waiting for this pandemic to get over, which is hilarious because it's not getting over, right? It just keeps getting worse or different or changing. Or how has your business, because so many people are struggling, but you're growing. So how has your business continue to grow, and what's your secret sauce to staying in action and growing?
So it's always looking at how are you meeting people's problems and challenges, right? So in terms of my own business around this, the pandemic's actually been really good for my business because a lot of people couldn't go out. Well, no one could go out for a long time and
Right.
do anything face to face. So LinkedIn had a massive growth, um, particularly last year. People going on because that's how you actually connect with people. So in terms of reaching out to people, if you have anything that's business to business or business to professional, a product or service, and you're not using LinkedIn, like you're missing a trick. Like
Right.
there's so many. That's where your target market is. They're on LinkedIn, but it's how you're framing what you do, how you're connecting, how you're reaching out to people so that when you do connect with them, they actually want to pay attention to what you're doing, and you're not coming across in a spammy salesy way, which is big.
Right. That
Yeah.
just sounded like it was a total setup for you and what you do. Because what do? I spent more time in LinkedIn. But it really wasn't. I ask every person that question because I think it's important. And then I realized when I said it, I'm like, well, of course, hello. But I think that is proof in the pudding to go, where am I spending my time? Because time is money, and going, what's that highest income producing activity that you can do? So, what's the biggest in your life, right? So, I always loved this question because I think it's been the area that I've grown the most, but I don't like it when it happens. But it's the area that when it does happen, I learn so much and then I can tell those stories. So, what's been your biggest failure? And then what was the learning lesson behind it? We can call it a failure, we can call it a challenge, whatever we want to call it.
Man, that is a good question. Probably one of the biggest challenges, failures, the way I perceive it now is quite different than a failure, but I got divorced 5 years ago, which is something I never wanted to do, never wanted to happen. I felt like a failure after that, all that sort of stuff. But what I learned from all of that, and it's been a journey around this, but what I've realized is that there's balance in everything. And to me, that's the biggest learning curve that I've had. That's not to say only be positive and don't be negative or anything like that, because there is negative, there are challenges, and I think, in my personal opinion, the whole thing around just be positive can actually be more detrimental than it is good, because it means trying to ignore what life's trying to teach you. And when challenges do come, it's there's growth opportunity in those. And so one of the things, so I have this, right here on my desk all the time, but I do a daily journal, and I track every single day what I do and stuff. And one of the things that I have in there is I write down at the end of each day 3 things that I'm grateful for.
Mm.
And that could be spending time with my kids or whatever. But one of the things that I found really helpful for me is when there's been a particular challenge, or maybe a day's been particularly challenging, or frustration, whether it's business, life, whatever. What I'll do is one of those 3 things, I'll look at what I'm grateful for in that challenge for that day. So it could be something maybe there was a client issue, or maybe there's been some sort of family issue or whatever. And I'll look at what is it forced me to look at? What's it allowed me to be able to see that I haven't seen before? Right. So one of the things I was speaking to with a client a while back is they had a client, and they were having problems with the client and frustrations and challenges and all this kind of stuff. And I said, well, what's it teaching you? What's it showing you to do? Because all they saw was the negative side of it. And they were like, well, nothing. It's all negative. And I was like, no. What's the benefit? What's it helped you do? And they said, well, it's helped us to focus on how we deal with our customer service. And I said, which allows you to do what? Well, allows us to have a better support team and a better product and all this kind of stuff. So it's little things like that. When you look at it, those challenges actually help you see things, or even protect you from things that could be worse off if the small challenge hadn't have happened.
Yes.
Right. So that, to me, that's been one of the biggest learning things in my life. So.
Yeah. I always call it the cosmic boot.
Yes.
And then I always say, after I'm done crying and getting off the floor, I'm like, what did I learn? What did I learn? What did I learn? Because if you don't learn it, it's going to happen again.
Yeah. 100%.
There was a period in my life where I had 10 car accidents. Now, they were never my fault. I was never at fault. But, got smashed. I started looking at the karmatic reason why. If you got hit in the front, that was because you're afraid of your future. You get hit in the back, you're afraid of your past. And I'm like, okay, I got to get into this, because now it's been almost 25 years I've not had another one. So, very careful driver. Yeah. But, you learn to go, what is it? So what is one thing, Jason, you want to be remembered for?
Legacy. That's legacy and impact. So like my business is called Impact for Leads. My podcast that I have is called the Atomic Impact Podcast. So it's about impact, whether that is seeing someone just a fleeting 5 seconds, how have I impacted their life, or whether it's actually working with someone long-term and getting to know, or a friend or whatever, impact. So that's what I'm all about. Have been since I was a teenager, believe it or not. I want to impact people's lives and help them. And if I can do it personally or through business, either way is good. But that's what I want to be known for.
An atomic impact. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do people get a hold of you? Like, how do we find you? How do we get a hold of you? Is there some kind of checklist you have so we can do this LinkedIn thing right and then follow up more with you? What do we do? How do we get you? We want you.
Yeah, sure. So I'd be remiss if I didn't say go to LinkedIn. Definitely check out my profile there. But I have a free LinkedIn mini course that people can get as well. So if they go to impactforleads.com, they can sign up for that there. And it's 5 videos giving the kind of foundation basics of LinkedIn. And I get a lot of good feedback from it. So definitely check that out.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time today. Thank you for your generosity. I know we're on completely different time zones, so I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Anything else you want to say before we go?
No, just definitely hit me up on LinkedIn. And thanks so much for having me on the show, man. Really, really appreciate having me on.
You're amazing.
Thank you.
Have a blessed day.
You too. Cheers.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Power Your Profits podcast. Let these building blocks from today's most successful industry leaders equip you with the necessary resources and tools to finally establish the highly profitable business of your dreams. Want to hear more? Listen to more episodes at https://poweryourprofitspodcast.com. And don't forget to subscribe to the show. Now is your time to rise to the top of your game, so be sure to catch our next episode. Until next time.